education, wisdom. Education is an empirical approach to trying to understand knowledge and information given to us by this world as far as we're able to comprehend it through a universal language of mathematics. Wisdom, on the other hand, is the ability to apply whatever you have. In fact, we were talking about this earlier in the day when we were talking about the scales and modes of guitar. Knowing the scales and modes does nothing if you don't know how to apply them. The same with knowledge and information. A encyclopedia book, if I were to set it here, would do absolutely nothing for us in this room. It is just sitting information. However, to open it and apply the knowledge and information that we have is the wisdom that we would use.
But with that, wouldn't you think that the way we apply it, will it change the way, we can apply it for any purpose. Don't you think the wisdom is something to do with not just being capable of applying information, but also with how you apply it and why you apply it, what you apply it for?
How you apply it is the degree in which you have the wisdom. How you apply chemistry in a simple aspect of cooking is different than how you apply chemistry for making antibiotics. It's different levels of wisdom of understanding chemistry. Why you apply it is a merely perspective relationship in between the person and the information. There is no reason that a person applies it that another person will comprehend intrinsically or innately. There's any number of reasons for a person's identity as to why they would apply the information. The reason why we apply antibiotics for this person over here and the reason why we use antibiotics over here are due to different things. One is to save a person that's dying, and one is to inject it into chicken so that we can have more chicken legs.
And don't you think the wisdom may actually tell you that there may be such a thing as a wrong application of knowledge?
That gets into ethics, which is different than wisdom.
Okay, what do you think about it?
What do I think about the ethics of wisdom?
Yeah.
What do I think about the ethics of wisdom?
And the relationship between wisdom and ethics.
Well, usually isn't the right application of knowledge is usually wise. The ethical application of knowledge is usually wise because it does because it usually brings the most benefit. Because the unethical usually brings only self-gain, which ultimately is destructive.
Now, you could argue objectivism and saying that selfishness actually is the most altruistic thing you can do, which is what many people have argued throughout the years, is that by applying yourself to be the most selfish gaining, you can apply good to other people. For example, if I were to go to the next homeless shelter and give all of my money away, I would be able to help those people eat for the next, let's just generously say, a month. That I don't have that much money. But however, if I were to take that money and selfishly apply it to myself, buying myself food, buying myself gas, buying myself textbooks to study, I will be able to selfishly gain more money, selfishly get a better job, selfishly get better education in order to later apply that to other people via whatever ability that I have. Let's say I want to increase purity of water through my chemical understanding because I took the selfish approach.
I completely agree with you, but everything that you're saying within your selfish approach is still completely ethical. I mean, you're talking about purifying water. So hence, the correct application of knowledge, the ethical application of knowledge is wisdom. The unethical application of knowledge is, by definition, unwise. Don't you think?
No, you can be wise without being ethical, and you can be ethical without being wise. Again,
sure,
wise.
But I'm saying within the application of knowledge.
The application of knowledge.
The application of knowledge becomes wisdom only when it's ethical.
By using Jews in order to create antibiotics and modern medicine, that was not an ethical choice. However, it was wise because they were able to apply information and technology to further progress that.
It was useful.
It was wise. It was wise.
Are you saying that then wise usefulness equals
The Manhattan
wiseness.
Project. Let's look at the Manhattan Project. That in itself was wise. You're going to tell me those people, those physicists, chemists, and doctors were not wise? They were wise greatly because they took information and were able to apply it to a degree. Being wise is like being a painter that is able to paint with all colors of the spectrum. The wiser you are, the more colors you have to paint with. That doesn't mean you'll paint a beautiful picture. It just means you have more colors to paint with.
So, what does it take to paint a beautiful picture? And before you continue, I have an important question, important point to make. Can you please bring me my tea?
Of course.
Thank you. Now that that has been taken care of, can you
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I have a think about this then, though, because if we're thinking about, I think you're confusing skillful application with wisdom then, because
Okay.
let's say I could realistically, with my martial arts talents, walk into a place and skillfully walk into a bar and skillfully kill with my bare hands everybody there.
Right.
Let us say that I am actually capable of one such feat.
Yes.
The cops would come and shoot my ass down.
Mm-hmm.
Completely unwise. Yet, skillful application.
No, I do.
Yeah, we could even argue that through that experience, I even now have the experience as a combatant of killing people. So I have that experience firsthand. I've been able to apply my knowledge and get further understanding of the human body, what it actually feels to break somebody's elbow, to break somebody's neck, to see the life going out of their eyes. Completely useful to my further application of martial arts as a combatant that advances me greatly. Yet, was it wise? No. Because I killed a bunch of people, and then I'm gonna die. So, is advancement necessarily wise when it causes a great amount of suffering?
Now, let me just take a moment back, and I feel that we are slipping into a good Irishman fallacy of logics here. That being, we have not fully defined the terminology that we're using, so we are applying the same word wise or wisdom in slightly different applications. So, what we are saying wise over here is not the same word that we're using in the next sentence when we say wise.
Well, okay, then let's redefine wisdom as to be on the same page.
Okay. So how would you define wisdom?
I would define my tea. Yeah, thank you.
I
I appreciate that. Nobody loves me.
At this point, wisdom within this, I would definitely say that it is the skillful and ethical application of knowledge.
see, now there's the key point. You think it's the skillful, ethical application of knowledge.
Right?
And if we were to agree with that definition, then we can continue in this hypothetical universe of what is wise is ethical, because we have defined that wisdom is the ethical application of information.
Which is what is your definition of wisdom?
My definition of wisdom goes back to the ability to apply information on a greater level or a lesser level, depending on the aptitude of wisdom. Wisdom is just the ability to apply what is available.
Right.
That is how I feel.
But it is to bring about a beneficial result. 100% of the time. Otherwise, you wouldn't apply yourself.
I guess if you want to argue altruism within humanity.
I mean, even selfishly, you would apply your knowledge wisely in order to gain resources, in order to further your own survival. But it's always beneficial.
For yourself, we can say that. You wisely apply tools to gain for yourself.
Sure.
We can go with that.
But usually, wisdom, wouldn't you say that usually implies a certain level of ethics?
I still don't see the
What do you think? What do you think is the relationship between wisdom and ethics then?
two separate entities. Again, back to the painting. Being able to paint well is wisdom. Being able to paint a beautiful picture in this aspect is ethics. So you can paint whatever you want with as many colors as you want, but ethics allows you to actually make something wonderful within this world. Penicillin, for example. We can use penicillin to extract the same fungi. We can extract a chemical from them, and we can kill people with the toxins. Or we can extract it and use it for antibiotics. So using the same thing, the wisdom of being able to extract it is the wisdom of the scientist. Now, will we use it for toxins or will we use it for penicillin? That's where the ethics comes in.
Wouldn't that but then what would be the wise application?
They're both wise applications.
But wouldn't you think though that one they're both skillful applications, but the wise application would be always to generate benefit?
No, not at all. Just
Well, I mean, like, let's say you have a choice, right?
Okay.
One is you can kill a bunch of people, and one you can save a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
What would you obviously choose?
It depends on the situation.
I mean, like within, obviously, if you had to kill a bunch of people, to stop a threat, but again, we're talking about, you were always looking to benefit when you use wisdom. You're always looking to generate good.
Well, actually, if you look at it, there could be like a halfway. I see his point. You see, the moment in which Hitler decided to eliminate anybody that supported him but could translate into competition, that was politically a wise decision because it was a very intelligent one. Usually we use intelligent, but I see it's a wise decision.
Mm-hmm.
Eliminate competition, you're the only one in charge. Was it ethical? Was it humane? Was it for the benefit of the balance? No. It was selfish. But it was a wise decision because actually it kind of worked.
Definitely.
So that I think I see his point in this sense, in this definition of wise. And therefore there needs to be a different, according to this paradigm, there needs to be a different definition altogether for the combination of knowledgeable, intelligent, wise, and ethical in one shot. So, if you were to put together that concept, what word would you choose to create for what that matters?
Well,
to explain that particular concept. You are both knowledgeable, intelligent, wise, and ethical.
Well, as far as wisdom, considering wisdom by definition is the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. The quality of being wise. The other
which right there fits exactly what you're saying too.
Of course.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm
not pointing
the soundness of an action or decision with regard to the application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment. The body of knowledge and principles that develops within a specified society or period. Oh, that's right, because we can also talk about wisdom as a certain kind of wisdom, like the wisdom of the ancients.
Right. And the wisdom of the society.
So, Joe, what do you think? How will you put together these four particular characteristics?
Into one word?
Into one word, one concept. Okay, I give you 3 words altogether.
3 words.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know the words because I don't know the other languages that can support what English does not have. Why do you think we use so much French and German?
Yeah,
English isn't enough by itself.
Honestly, I don't know.
Weltschmerz.
Yeah, it's true.
Says it all.
Says it all.
Do you want a paragraph for me to explain it to you?
That's
one word.
True, but that it's say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I think that would summarize it. However, once you have this concept, right, this combination of intelligence, wisdom, knowledge, and ethics, which is wonderful.
Wisdom, knowledge, and ethics. Okay.
Okay, so you have this combination.
Well, first of all, do we need all of them? Let's make sure we do.
I mean, if you don't have the knowledge, no. you need knowledge in order to build the capabilities to apply the wisdom. If you have a little bit of knowledge and a lot of wisdom, you can only apply all that wisdom to the little bit of knowledge, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Following? Yes.
All right.
Well,
So,
realistically, I think that when wisdom does transcend knowledge. That's the beauty of wisdom. It's the step of the genius. You know, it's you can connect the dots through wisdom. Where knowledge just brings you what is, wisdom brings you what may and could very well be.
right. But if I were to take you, and since you were a child, put you in one room, you would not be able to have the life experience that you have that would allow you to connect the dots. So you could be the wisest person, but if all you've seen is 6 white walls, you wouldn't have the basis.
You're only theorizing. I mean, that's nature and nurture. I mean, you could have the potential to be the wisest person, but you're right. I mean, with no input.
Right, so you need the input, the experience, so to speak.
Yeah, with a little bit of knowledge, it gained you a good level of wisdom. The wisdom can be transcendent. I can very well speak from personal experience. Taking Tai Chi, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Tai Chi has, the body of knowledge of Tai Chi, which, we can arguably say it's immense, but, the form is the form, the movements are the movements, right? So, within that, you have the framework of Tai Chi, and then you have the philosophy of Tai Chi, which has, the Song of Push Hands, the Tai Chi classics, right? So you have, a few documents, 108 postures, right? The body of knowledge. Yeah. Outside of anything I may say, there's been countless volumes written on the application of Tai Chi wisdom. My personal favorite, the one I've been currently working with the most as I've been studying Buddhism, is moving yourself, not your opponent. You don't try to move your opponent, you move yourself. You can actually physically do that. Once you make the bridge, you feel where the guy is, and as he's coming at me, I can, instead of putting pressure or maybe averting him or doing something to him, I simply let his force go by, move my center, placing myself at a better angle to then off balance him and or strike him at will. The same application of the same physical application that I have within my Tai Chi practice, I can apply to a personal situation. Somebody has a problem with me, they're angry with me. I feel I'm in the right.
Yeah.
So now I feel slighted because they're angry with me. Well, instead of feeling slighted, I feel slighted. Why? Because I believe they have a reason to be angry with me. I believe I may be feeling some guilt, or I just feel rejection. So I may come back at them. I either may victimize myself, or I may persecute them. So instead, now I can move myself instead. I understand that I'm completely okay. I don't feel like I've done anything. And if he's angry at me, maybe I can first self-analyze, make sure I haven't done anything. Then maybe I can find out what his problem is. And that's moving myself. Instead of trying to attack him, I'm moving myself. So you have the small body of knowledge of Tai Chi, but here's the application of the physical wisdom.
So you're saying you have a small body of knowledge of Tai Chi?
I'm just saying is that comparatively to all knowledge, right? If you just take my that's a little bit of Tai Chi knowledge. Like the knowledge within Tai Chi, let's say that somebody has an understanding of Tai Chi. At least let's take my understanding of Tai Chi as a measuring stick, right? I have 10 years experience, right? So let's take that. I can after 10 years experience of, instead of trying to knock the other guy, I let him pass me by and I knock him in a different direction, hence yielding to him. I now can yield in a personal emotional situation, thereby translated that wisdom. So that's what I say. That's what I mean when I say I think that even with a small amount of knowledge, as long as it gains you, as long as you understand it well, and you can extrapolate wisdom can then make you connect the dots better.
I
wouldn't say that you, obviously exponentially, the more knowledge, the more possible wisdom. Yet I would say that there's a lot to be said for good knowledge and good understanding of the knowledge can yield possibly greater wisdom than a lot of knowledge that is just cursorily understood because there is so much, there hasn't been enough focus to truly go in. There's the famous Chinese saying, or actually, and then that was thereby coined by Bruce Lee. I do not fear the man that does 10,000 techniques. I fear the man that does one technique 10,000 times, because he's gonna know it so well. He's gonna see all the possible applications of that. So truly, although I think everybody should experience and taste it all, because there is just so much beauty and so much to experience. When you pick a thing, when you focus your attention and truly develop yourself within one thing, or even if only you have maybe the availability of the one thing. Let's say that you're for whatever reason you're in a situation where you can only study the one thing. Maybe you're in prison, maybe who knows. But you focus yourself, and through the application, through the true work that you put studying the knowledge, you will gain wisdom that will thereby let you grasp onto other things that are seemingly unrelated.
You'll gain the knowledge, which will allow the wisdom.
Correct.
Let you grab the other things.
Right.
I completely agree with you. The application of your Tai Chi training into a emotional situation is wisdom within itself. That being said, I would not downplay 10 years of Tai Chi experience to be minimal. There's always a relative infinity and a relative zero. So that's really hard to say prospectively, because according to that ant that's over there, to get to where I am, the limits are infinity. For me to get to where the ant is just a couple of steps. So the relationship in between you saying you have minimal knowledge to someone that only has a couple of months of experience is exponentially a limit going towards infinity. Yeah. So that perspective really comes into play as far as what do we consider a small amount of information, what do we consider a large amount of information.
Although it is really cool to think that thereby the same thought process, somebody that has true wisdom can enlighten other people way faster within the same wisdom and knowledge, because the concept is not hard to understand. I explained it to you. You now understand it just as well as I do. Maybe the physical experience, maybe.
But the question is, was it inside me the whole time and you brought it out, or did you actually transmit it to me?
Well, nothing can be taught or learned. I completely subscribe to that philosophy. Come on. I'm studying Buddhism. All it is chiseling the stone. We're all looking for it.
Hold on. I'm sorry. What? You're studying Buddhism, so you're chiseling the stone.
That's right.
Joe.
You've been hanging out with Diego.
I'm sorry. Are we not a band?
I'm sorry. Two out of three people here are upon the square.
Exactly.
And to have that phrase thrown at me by someone who is not a part
Sir, I'm
of that perpendicular is just comical.
Why is it comical? I understand the metaphor extremely well within my own experience.
Still,
in my own way.
It's hilarious.
Still, we have to place.
You have to be so judging.
Because peer pressure.
You know.
Peer pressure. Just a little bit.
If I had never gone to that Buddhist temple, I'm sure that you would try to get me to go to that Buddhist temple so that I can have that experience. Would you not? Mm-hmm. And if you didn't, I would be upset with you as a brother and as a friend, because you should, in fact, force me to experience as much as possible, as I should you, as I should him. Prodding is a necessary component of any great friendship or brotherhood. It is wisdom. Absolutely necessary.
It brings wisdom.
It brings wisdom.